Hello, everybody. Welcome to the final week of Forced February for Film Seizure. My name is Geoff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I'm Jason Oliver.
And this week we have brought to us a suggestion by a fan of the show, Mr. Sam Beckley, who asked us to do Andy Sidaris' 1985 film. I say film because I think it's appropriate, but it is his first of his kind of bullets, bombs, and boobs series, Malibu Express. So,
I thought when Sam suggested this movie, for whatever reason, I had in my mind Hard Ticket to Hawaii. I did not have Malibu Express in my head. So I was like, yes, we definitely need to do Malibu Express, thinking that we were going to be doing Hard Ticket to Hawaii. So that's my bad. But
I had
Geoff,
said,
before you go on, I want to say one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you a second time. We warned people at the end of the last episode that Jason was going to be drunk during this episode. Yes. I think we should warn people again. Jason is going to be drunk.
I'm a little drunk.
But Geoff, go ahead and go with it.
Yes.
I'm definitely not sober, fans. Hey, fam. I've been drinking a little bit.
Yeah, you have been drinking a little bit. This should be fun because I also teased that this is going to be a bit of a courtroom episode in which we are going to debate the forceness of this movie. Now,
the fortitude?
Yeah, the fortitude. Thank you. Yes.
At the end of yes, thank you.
The forcivitiveness.
Objection.
All right.
Sustained.
Thank you. Now, I did also say that I would be Perry Masoning the defense of this movie. And last week I did say that Jason was going to be playing the role of Harrisonburger. That is incorrect. It's Hamilton.
I don't know what even that means.
He is from Perry Mason. So
okay. Well, fuck that guy.
Yeah, he's the DA from Perry Mason. It was actually Hamilton Burger. I had the wrong historical figure.
I would rather play the McRib of this episode. Geoff, I broke him.
No, guys, this is going to be one hell of a next 90 minutes.
It is.
Anyway, so Sam brought this and he said, "Hey, would you guys do this movie?" And I was like, "Yes," because I had covered it 5 years ago on B Movie Enema. I had written about this movie. I loved it back then. I still love it today. In fact, tomorrow, pulling the curtain back, tomorrow. We're recording this on January 22nd. Tomorrow on January 23rd, I will be writing my article just to twist the dagger a little bit for Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
And that's the one I wish we'd watched.
So stay tuned. End of June, Hard Ticket to Hawaii on B Movie Enema. Here's the thing. Jason and I, many years ago, at the beginning of this odyssey that we call Film Seizure,
at least 20 years ago.
Jesus Christ. Objection.
Overruled?
I don't even know the difference.
Sidebar.
Overruled. I sustain your. Yeah, you're allowed to reject that.
Yes. Yeah. So back at the beginning of Film Seizure, we had done the episode Raw Force, in which we fell in love with a movie called Raw Force, and we decided we had many high ideals at that point. We thought we'll create a whole convention around movies that have the word force in the title.
Yeah.
Last year, we did Force February for the first time. And we realized that maybe having an entire month of movies that have the word force in it is a little difficult.
It's a little bit limiting.
It's a very shallow pond of movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we thought at that point in time was the first time that we had ever discussed the idea of what we would call force adjacent movies. Now, if you're curious about what a force adjacent movie would be, it would be a movie that doesn't have the title force in it, but could very easily feel like that same energy that Raw Force brings, or Delta Force, or some of the better movie, Tactical Force for that matter, if you listen to last week's episode.
Cobra,
Commando,
force adjacent, Commando, force adjacent. Yes.
Demolition Man, I would even say, is force adjacent.
Force adjacent, yes.
So we were thinking about, at the time that Sam had suggested this movie, we said, okay, we'll each pick a movie that has force in the title. I picked Death Force, Jason picked Future Force, and Chuck picked Tactical Force. I think we did brilliant jobs picking all those things. Sam had at that point in time said, hey guys, would you do this movie? Or have you thought about doing this movie? And it's like, yes. And then I think Jason and I had at this simultaneous moment said, we're going to make it a force adjacent movie.
Yeah.
Jason, because he was thinking of the wrong movie, because I know what this movie is.
It's true. I totally imagine like the scene on the beach with like the fucking shotgun, or not shotgun, but the machine gun, and the guy like basically exploding. Like all the action scenes from Hawaii,
real quick,
I thought was Malibu Express.
Right. Well, real quick, you had all the right things. You had that scene jumbled up.
Yeah, totally.
So I'd like to interject that right at that moment, I got no choice in the matter.
Yeah, you didn't.
So we'll just have to pocket that for later.
Hang on a second.
When I get to overrule you,
I think this gives you at least one like judge card of like nope. It's like a nope card.
So here's the thing.
Not doing it.
Two of us already voted, and
I guess that's fair, right?
But also, you get a note card. You get a note card on it because we could maybe vote, and you could be like, "Fuck that! I'm not doing it."
That's fair.
Anyway,
we could argue because Jason's already brought up one movie where I was like, "Fuck no, I'm not doing that movie."
What movie was that?
Annie Hall. I'm not going to watch that movie.
Oh, I brought it up just as like a not as a serious suggestion. I've never even seen that movie.
I know, but you were bringing it up because you hadn't seen that movie. And I'm like, no.
Guys, we're falling off the Malibu Express.
No, here's the thing. I'm saying no to any Woody Allen because I want to watch things like Malibu Express.
Oh, sure. I'm going to further say no to movies like Malibu Express because I want to watch movies that I actually like to watch. So...
Well, I would say
interesting. I actually liked watching this movie, and I know we're going a little off of your track.
No, that's fine.
I liked watching this movie, and I had said last week at the end of our episode that I didn't initially consider this a force movie, but I'm willing to hear out your points, Geoff, to determine that it's not what I think of.
No, that's
right,
fair.
but that doesn't mean it's not.
No, that's fair.
Force can be a broad topic. It can be.
Exactly. So so let me give you the basic rundown of what Malibu Express is. Malibu Express stars Darby Hinton. Now, Darby Hinton actually got his start, I believe, on Davy Crockett, is it? Hang on a second. Let me double check that.
He looks like Davy Crockett, so I would agree with you on that.
Why not? We can just
Daniel Boone. Daniel Boone. He played. He was on Daniel Boone. What's funny is about that is his mom, at the age of 6 years old, brought him to 20th Century Fox. He was supposed to be auditioning for a part in The Sound of Music. He went the wrong way because the mom was parking her car, and just kind of sent him towards the direction of the casting offices. And he got in line for Daniel Boone instead. And they loved him so much, they hired him on the spot.
That's crazy.
What is that, serendipity or something like that? That's
serendipity
awesome.
is the exact word for that.
Yeah, that's insanity is what that is. That's wild. Yeah.
So,
it's fate.
Darby Hinton plays Cody Abilene. Now, there is one thing that Jason could also get confused with Hard Ticket to Hawaii, which is the character Rowdy Abilene, which is his cousin, is the lead male in Hard Ticket to Hawaii. But,
so are these both Andy Sidaris films?
Yes.
Just so I'm okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Malibu Express is, and I'll get to a little bit more of this. This is kind of the beginning of what Andy Sidaris would be remembered for the rest of his life. A series of 12 movies. This is kind of the first, the first movie of that series. So anyway, he is just this kind of, he's what this movie is what I call hillbilly Californian. Cody Abilene, if you didn't guess by his last name, is from Texas. And he now lives in Malibu on a houseboat, or on a boat. I don't even think it's a houseboat. He just lives on a boat. And his dad's an old NASCAR driver. So he's got a little bit of money. He's got a little bit of pull at the local racetrack, which is a weird thing to say, I know, but stick with me. It doesn't really matter in the long run, except for when it does. So he is, I have always thought that he is essentially an Aaron Rodgers lookalike. He's Aaron Rodgers with a shitty mustache.
And feathered hair.
And a cowhide suitcase.
Yes.
Yes.
But he is a private
cow.
Yeah, he must have bought it from Dell, but or Gateway. Gateway was the old Gateway.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he is a private eye, and while we meet him, we also meet Sybil Daning's character of Contessa Luciana. And she is meeting with a guy who is a, government guy. We'll call him government guy. And he's like, hey, so there's some computers that are being sold to Russia. There's no fucking computers to Russia, guys.
Yeah, don't sell computers to Russia, guys.
This is how they fucked with our election.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just like laptops and shit to sell to the computer.
This is a prequel to GoldenEye, by the way.
Which is a prequel to Russian Twitter bots.
Right, exactly.
The premise of this is so stupid. He's like, they don't make as good as computers as we make.
Dude, that's not even the fucking premise of this movie. That is not.
I know, but people are selling them computers that are better than the computers that they can make.
Overruled.
So anyway, so she's like, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? And he's like, well, actually, I know a guy, Cody Abilene. I think you'll like him. So he goes over to meet. So Cody is sent over to meet Countess Luciana. They fuck immediately.
Immediately.
Well, immediately. The entire movie. It's just.
Yes.
I mean, you've cut out June Knockers with an H.
I said I was going to give the main beats. I wasn't going to go into the details yet. Don't jump the fucking knocker gun.
Apparently, she's not the main beats. I think she's the main beats.
She's the main beats later.
She's the main teats.
The main teats.
There it is.
Sustained.
So, yes. I have stats later, by the way. I have stats like a fucking Playboy Playmate.
All right, give us those beats, Mr. Beat Farmer.
So he gets sent on this mission to kind of check out this family, which are called the Chamberlains. Lady Lillian Chamberlain is the kind of the poobah of this rich family.
She's a matriarch.
She's a matriarch, yes. Yeah. And because Luciana knows her too really, really well, she can't be the one to go in there and investigate her because it would be very obvious. However, Lady Lillian knows that something is going on under her nose. She doesn't know what. Luciana kind of knows what it is, which is the whole computers thing. And so she sends Cody. Well, Cody goes in and just kind of, I don't know, like sleeps there for a few days or whatever. And we find out that there is a considerable amount of shenanigans going on. There is a limo driver who is essentially blackmailing the family in any way he can. He's an ex-con. And one of the actual Chamberlain girls is working for somebody who is indeed selling computer technology to a Russians, as Jason put it earlier. And Cody is, by the way, Cody Abilene, in just a write-off line, not spoken by him, but spoken about him by a cop who hardly has any scenes in this movie. He is summa cum laude from the University of Texas. So he is super smart. He is super smart man. He fucks his way through this movie, and he successfully figures out who killed, not just who killed the guy who's been
Shane,
who's basically blackmailing the whole family, but also the connection to the bad guy selling the Russian the computer secrets.
So there's our main beats.
That's our main beat. That is the movie, but this movie is surprisingly complex. That's the story.
Overly, maybe even complex.
You could say that, Your Honor. But so this is what Andy Sidaris had written down on a note on a napkin at the Hooters, and he's like, "All right, here's my movie." And then he gave it to himself later when he came home after he had those buffalo shrimp at Hooters, and it's like, I guess I got to build a script around this. And so
you're basically saying
complexed it out.
You're basically saying Andy Sidaris is Paul McCartney writing the song Yesterday.
I'm gonna say
he wrote the lyrics on the napkins. And,
yes, scrambled eggs. Yeah,
it was originally scrambled eggs.
Yes, sustained. So
now you're the judge.
So here's the. So let's get into the actual details, right? First and foremost, how do we meet Darby Hinton's Cody Abilene?
Okay, so he's driving in his red DeLorean. Yeah. And he's got his cowhide suitcase, or cow print, maybe not cowhide, suitcase, and he goes into a shooting range.
Yes.
I really like this.
It's actually really cool.
I do like this a lot.
He opens his suitcase. It's got like the velour interior or whatever.
For the record, I like this movie a lot more than I like the last week's movie. Like
okay.
This movie has a little bit of panache. It has a little bit of detail to character. It has a little bit of just general
verisimilitude.
Yeah,
I just threw out a word just to see if you'd
sure. Well, I don't know. It's got a little bit of an attention to detail, right?
So let's say
the last movie doesn't.
Let's say that Tactical Force is basically Cody Abilene with a gun, right? He pulls out his gun stuff. He can't hit any fucking target.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
He's a terrible shot. That's what Tactical Force is.
But this movie immediately gives Cody Abilene a character.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways,
it gives him an attribute, and it's a funny attribute. It's an attribute that they can kind of play against throughout the rest of the movie.
He's a smart, highly educated guy who's bored and becomes a private detective and can't shoot a gun.
And he can't shoot straight for shit. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He's only a private detective because he can afford it. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. This is essentially an 80s movie, 80s action, and I put that in quotations, movie version of a smarter while also playing dumber version of the Rockford Files. It's really what it is. It really is what it is.
I was thinking Get Smart a little bit for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe that's a little off the rails, but
I mean, in a sort of way, because you could say Maxwell Smart was dumb, but at the same time he kind of qualified but he was qualified for his job, though.
Yes, but he lucks into his wins, kind of like Cody Abilene does here. He lucks into fortuitous situations.
Exactly. So he is. We also when he drives back home to his boat. It's not a houseboat. I want to really make that clear. He just lives on a fucking boat.
But it has a wooden board in front of it that makes it look like a train.
That's exactly what I was getting to. So
sorry.
No, he drives home. First thing he does on his way home, he talks about how he bought a new tape recorder. So that because somebody told him that's what all private eyes should do is to record his notes, which proves what exactly what was just said, that he was kind of this bored playboy who just decides to become a private eye. It's not that he isn't smart enough to be a private eye. It's just that he's not really a private eye. Yeah, I mean, like,
right. He's got none of the skills needed really to do the job.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So he is talking about, and this plays a relatively recurring part where he's kind of giving some voiceover. And I do have an analogy to that was killing me when I was watching this last night. But he gets back to the marina, and the guy who basically runs the marina is the guy that ultimately talks to the Countess about hiring.
Yeah.
But he says, hey, this door that you've put here that looks like a train caboose, it's fucking ugly. You got to get rid of it. And he's like, no. And it's
he's like, well, my dad gave all the money. Like he's a full supporter of you guys.
Right. The dad started the marina.
Support, right? Yes, exactly. He started it and he still supports it. There's a great line here too, because, and I'm sorry if you were going to say
no, go for it.
But they're like, where is your dad? Yes. He's like, well, he went out on a trip. And one of the guys said, yeah, he had an all-girl crew. And Cody's like, that's hard to say. All-girl crew. He probably got blown off course.
Yes.
Which is just fucking hilarious.
Yes. So that's also, then we get the voiceover as to why he has the caboose painting as his door. His mom was killed in a train accident. And to honor her, they painted, the father and son painted a caboose and made it into a door to put at the front of his at his slip in the
That's the kind of thing I like about this movie. It's like those. I don't want to give it the height of like a Mel Brooks comedy.
No,
but that's the kind of thing I see in that scene, at least.
Yes,
you know what I mean. Like
right.
That would be a Mel Brooks joke.
Sure,
he'd just do it better, probably.
He would. Yes, there would be a different delivery point. But anyway, so when Cody goes in, he finds out that. He finds out these two girls from Texas have pulled into the slip next door. And there's a lot that you can say about that sentence that I just said. But it's, hi, I'm Faye, and I'm May. It's these two boobtacular chicks. And they haven't set up their water yet, so they want to be able to use the shower. And, of course, they don't use the shower curtain or the door, which is great. I mean, that's great. I'm a fan of that. And they just kind of hang out with Cody. They're always around, and they always figure out a way to get past this security system. What that security system is, I have no idea.
I don't think there is one. I think he was joking, which either way, it's funny. Either they're sneaking past it or he's joking constantly. Like, how'd you get past my security system?
Right.
Because there isn't one. There fucking isn't one. It's a door to the marina.
And also, I think from their slip, they could just get off the boat on the side of his.
They could swim. Yeah. Or jump. Yeah.
Right.
Which is funny. This also lets you know something else you need to know about Cody, if you don't know it already, is that he can turn down two hot chicks that just showered and are still naked.
Well, and he
like, we want to hang out. And he's like, nope, I gotta work.
I gotta go to work.
He doesn't have a real job.
No, he doesn't.
He's a self-employed private investigator.
Yes, and when he gave them the towel, he doesn't ogle it. He puts the towel around the door until it's time for business.
Yeah.
Later, he doesn't. He doesn't. He will say some things, but he does not necessarily. Cody is surprisingly what's the word I'm looking for here?
Nonchalant?
Well, he's nonchalant, but he's also very mindful of people's personal.
He's courteous?
He's courteous. Yeah. There we go. That's a good word. Because I know what Jason's favorite scene is in this movie. And
we haven't heard from Jason at all.
He's putting together his case. His case is falling apart.
I think he's falling asleep instead.
I mean, you guys are doing a great job, so keep it up.
I want to hear you rail against this a little bit. Are we not to a point where you can talk shit at least, or give? We're pretty early, I guess, in the movie.
I mean, it's just not. This is not a very well-made movie. It's so jarring. Like the edits between scenes are they give you like this weird establishing shot sometimes that gives you like this real quick frame of this establishing shot. I think there's a scene where the one guy is getting massaged by the naked lady, and all you get is this weird establishing shot of just her face real quick, and then it cuts down to below and then back to inside. It's like what? Why? I mean, I don't know. This movie.
What about the jokes, though? Did you care for any of the jokes?
It's a lot of like it's you know what? It's kind of funny. It's like a lot of juvenile, like 12-year-old sort of like adolescent innuendos. Like Andy Sidaris seriously is a 12-year-old boy that's stuck in a failure to launch in these movies, because he just writes these really juvenile innuendos that any fucking moron can write, like about getting hard and about this and that. It's just it's entertaining enough, but it's just, I don't know. I'm just like watching this movie and I'm just like, it's a bit of an eye roll every fucking scene for me.
I took it at a much lower level.
I tried to. I did. Like, I really did. And they're I mean, I like boobies. Those are cool. You know?
There were some nice ones in this movie too. There were some really nice boobies.
Yeah. But it's just so like winky wink at, yeah, this is what you want, don't you? You fucking stupid male, you know? I mean, I don't know. It's just dumb. It's just dumb fucking movie.
Sorry, Sammy.
Yeah. Your Honor, a sidebar. So this is what
will you guys approach the bench, please?
Yeah. So here's the deal, Your Honor. My esteemed DA on the other side here has been watching a lot of artsy fartsy movies, and I feel like that he is trying to hold a movie like Malibu Express to a standard that it has no business to be held against. And I would like for a lot of that he just said to be stricken from the record.
You want me to throw out that evidence?
Yes.
I think Your Honor,
because he watches Fellini.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I think, Your Honor, that honestly, this movie can certainly be on the record, but should it be on the record as a force movie? I do not see any evidence thus far in the deliberation of the proceedings of this movie that make it a force film.
Okay.
I know I'm not supposed to have leanings as a judge, but initially, without hearing Geoff's arguments, I am leaning at this being less of a force movie and more of just a comedy with a few bullets shot here and there.
So
go ahead, Geoff.
Yeah. So okay. Well, I'm just gonna go right to my case here, Your Honor. This movie, however sloppy or articulate it may be in its execution, even though this is not Sidaris' first movie, it is the first that I feel like probably has this kind of a budget. And what I mean by this kind of a budget, I mean the ability to blow up a guy on the side of the road, which I've got notes about that. But
that's the most forceful scene in the movie to me. Is that whole scene?
Yeah. But I will say that this movie, while it may be a little bit clumsy, in its execution, this movie is a parody of action movies.
That does not a forced movie make, sir.
So here we go. Your Honor,
parody of an action movie is Last Action Hero, which is absolutely a forced film. This is not so much. This is like we want to be a parody of a forced film, but we are neutering ourselves.
It wasn't
by
time for
by direction.
cross-examination yet.
Yes, but
I didn't order you to give your cross-examination.
I'm going to say what I'm going to say until the judge steps in.
Oh, I am the judge.
I know.
he just told you.
I know.
Okay,
that's exactly right.
Let's let Geoff finish his argument, and then I'm with you. I'm with you on what you said there, Jason. I'm with you.
I would like to finish my argument, but he keeps interrupting. Would you just shut up, man?
That's what a good lawyer does. They interrupt when the other lawyer is making good points. But go ahead.
Exactly. So, but here's the thing: at every turn in which this movie about to enter an action set piece, whether it is particularly when it comes down to later in the movie when there are a couple of chase scenes with the big muscle men and Cody and the crazy person who has all the grenades and the machine guns and just wants to kill anything that moves. At that point, it transitions away from the expected action scene and goes into a comedic scene instead. And so in a way it is diverting some expectations, but it is also parroting what you expect to happen in an action movie, particularly in 1985.
I think you're giving it way too much credit. This movie is there was nothing. No one on this movie said we are subverting anything when they were making this movie. Andy Sidaris, when he was writing this movie, was like, I'm not going to write a deconstruction of the action movie. I'm not going to write like a subversion of the action scene. He was writing a movie that he could make a budget around, and be damned if it was going to be boring in between like some scenes with gunplay. Like that's all just fucking bullshit, honestly. Like seriously, there was no intention to subvert anything in this movie.
Is that just a guess on your part? Like, why do you say that? Honestly, this is honest.
Why do I?
Me or Geoff?
Okay, well, I'll start with Jason because you were countering the point.
I mean, honestly, the onus is on Geoff there because the narrative is just a fucking straightforward bullshit, like stupidity movie. If Geoff is saying that it's going to subvert any type of genre, that's the onus is on him, 100%.
All right. Well, okay. Well, I will come with you with some truth, good sir. So number one, as I had mentioned, the big muscle man, the muscle men guys, and the crazy guy with all the guns and grenades and stuff. The first time around that they chase after Cody has essentially positioned himself as a potential problem for the guy who's ultimately selling computer shit to the Russians, right? So he sends the beefy guys and the crazy guy after him.
Which he meets in the gym. They just happen to be at the gym, and they recognize him as a guy that they're like, ooh, I don't like the look of this guy.
Well, that shows me some intention.
But the problem here is that they introduce those characters in a sense that is not the villain. They make them the villain later.
Your Honor, I would like to point out the fact that last week's movie had literally no scene with more than 5 characters in frame at one time. I don't know what my opponent is expecting here.
But what I'm saying here is that the two bodybuilder like goons of this movie are established in a scene as goons and as antagonists strictly because they don't like Cody because he's a skinny guy who the chicks like. It is only established later that they are somehow embroiled in this bigger
that
villainy.
Just seems like overly 80s to me. That's the kind of thing I expect to see in a lot of 80s
Well,
movies.
if you're gonna have muscle men,
But it's pure.
where are you going to introduce them at?
It's pure
in a gym. In a gym. Why not in a gym?
But it's pure goofiness. It's like, oh, hey, we introduced these guys
if
this
you
way.
were,
now we're gonna make them the villains of the movie. It makes no goddamn sense, and it's pure fucking stupidity.
I don't know, because those guys maintained some kind of reluctance to be the bad guys the entire movie.
After
even the whole thing, they were following the one maniac who they kept saying, "Why are you shooting everything? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? You're fucking crazy." Like they were hired because they met the bad guy in the gym, probably too, and he's probably like, "I'll give you guys $100 to follow this other psychotic person around and throw your muscle around if you need to." They weren't a part of the plan. They were hired muscle.
But the scene where they actually like introduce themselves as the villains is like so unbelievably jarring. It's like it makes no sense. It's like, who are these people again? Like, why are they involved? Weren't they just the guys that were like working out at the gym?
Well, I would dare say that Malibu is a relatively small town. It's a small world. But anyway, beside the point, I was trying to explain my case here, Your Honor, and I got it. So here we go. In that first scene, in that first chase scene, we have a situation in which we think, one, we have three guys against our main hero in a car chase. We expect that car chase to go over a cliff, off the road, whatever the case is, but they just stop. And what does Cody do? He gets out, he takes off the sleeves of his jacket first, so it turns into a gi, and then he takes that off, and he's like Karate Man all of a sudden, right? What happens? Well, the karate fight never actually happens. Why? Because the other two guys with the crazy guy are muscle-bound beefcake dudes, and they just beat the shit out of our...
Actually, he gets the upper hand. Cody gets the upper hand. He kicks the one dude, punches the other.
Right,
and then he goes to punch the psycho. He goes to punch the psycho, but he's got his crazy magnifying glass gun in his belt. And Cody punches that, and he's like, "Oh!" And
look,
fair enough. And they blow up the car, and he has to walk off, and the action scene is essentially diverted at that point.
I understand where the defendant or plaintiff, I don't know who you are in this.
I'm the defendant. I'm the defendant.
I understand where the defendant is coming from with the character of Cody Abilene in his representation of the subversion of the action hero. And I agree that he is a subversion of the action hero. He's a bad shot. He is overconfidence in his abilities. He is not he says his hands are lethal weapons, and then he gets his ass kicked, right? I agree with all of these things.
So you're making Geoff for him.
But
now.
None of these things a force film make. And none of these things a force film make. Like, these are all elements in a subversion of an action film, of a comedy, of a parody, but they are not a force film.
Aside from the okay, so let's take a look at aside from title, what was the forceness of either Future Force or Death Force?
Are you asking me to defend either one of those movies in any way, shape, or form? No,
yes.
I won't do it.
Well, okay, there you go. We have precedent.
But were they force movies?
That's
a simple question.
I think that in the history of force film Seizure, the only true force films that we have covered have been Raw Force, Mega Force, Delta Force. Definitely those three. I can't remember the rest.
Tactical Force was forcey.
Tactical Force
is a little forcey.
I will give Tactical Force. There's a testosterone there.
So maybe we shouldn't approach this. I mean, it is Force February. We chose this movie, but do we need to deliberate over whether it's forceful or not?
This
or
is an interesting point, Charles, because thank you, Judge Moore, because maybe we are taking ourselves into a territory that we don't necessarily understand. We don't know what truly makes a force film. I think force filmage could be subjective.
Indeed, and that was all the argument I was trying to make.
Well then, good goddamn, sir. Maybe we should just move on to talking about this movie.
I am just a small town force lawyer, and and all I was trying to say before I went off and ate my fried chicken, his finger licking good, was that some of this stuff is just subjective, and I see the spirit there. Now, the spirit to me is a little bit over the topness of it.
I don't feel it. I don't feel the spirit here. I feel a little bit of the over the topness in the intention. I don't feel it in the execution.
What about during the Buffington interludes?
Yeah, let's talk about the Buffington interludes.
The Buffington interludes.
That was exactly what I was going to bring up.
Are like, no, that's like so not force anything. That's
how about the last one? The last one with the fucking jet rocket out the back of the Forenza.
It's just goofy. It's just goofy. It feels like the bullshit from Friday the 13th Part 5 that I hate. Like, I hate all that stuff. It feels, you know what it feels like? It feels like,
funny because that, to me, it endears me to these types.
No. To me, it's like the shit from the Bond movies. It's like the Bond movies where with the sheriff, the racist sheriff.
That's a different thing.
I put it all in that same boat. Like, I just don't like it. It's so caricature. It's so icky. It's like,
Your Honor, I would like to point out that my opponent is from West Virginia, and that's probably why he gets icky about this.
I was raised in West Virginia, not born in West Virginia, but yes, thank you.
I don't know.
That was pretty stereotypical.
Hey, we're all Northerners.
That's not being a good liberal.
We're all Northerns here.
Hey guys, I'm just gonna take a short recess. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Deliberate. No, Jason, I 100%. I understand where you're coming from here. I really do. But at the same time, all I'm saying is that there is, I get the appreciation for it because of the fact that it takes everything and it takes all the other things, not necessarily the action stuff, because like I said, I think it constantly zigzags away from action, and I think it does it purposely, with the exception of the one chase that ultimately gets the crazy guy blown up. And I'm going to wait for Chuck to come back to talk about that.
I think it only does it purposefully because of budget. I mean,
and that could be. And
you're talking about a movie. You're talking about a movie that introduced its lead actor with a red DeLorean, and then 1/3 into the movie had to get rid of the DeLorean because they didn't have fucking money for the rental. But I mean, come on. I mean, this movie was like dictated by budget.
Well, and that's fair. And I'm going to say that that's fair to argue that. Because, yes, we joked about that last night, about how, they ran out of budget, so they got to send the DeLorean back to
the DeLorean's done. We got to write this thing out of the movie. Yeah.
Right. But what I'm saying is, though, where it zigzags away from action, maybe because of budget, the one thing it does do is it turns the rest, like, it does more characterization for various characters in this movie than your typical action movie did in 1985. It certainly turns up the breast. Do you guys want to hear the stats?
Yeah, I do. I want before you get into the stats, I want to just say, for the record, that I am trying to defend the fact that this movie is not a force movie, and I don't believe it is. That being said, I don't think it's not an enjoyable movie. I think there's a lot of really fun to be had with this movie, but I don't necessarily think it fit with the theme of the month. I think if we had done like a B movie, like bullshit month, yes, totally. Malibu Express is that in spades. Is it a force movie? I don't think so.
Judge is going to rule here on this. I'm going to rule.
Judge will rule at the end, but
I'm ruling right now.
You're ruling right now.
I'm ruling right now. You don't tell the judge what to do, mister.
Oh shit!
I feel like Your Honor, I think that should be taken into consideration with your ruling.
No, my ruling is this. Let's talk about this movie the rest of the way for the merits it has.
Yeah.
And not whether it's related to Force or not.
But
because I don't think I can decide.
You're a
Jason's
cop-out
made
judge.
up as a what are we gaining here? What are we gaining here by arguing about whether it's a Force movie?
We're just trying to entertain the listeners, all 5 of them. That's all.
All 5 of them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I'll rule later, I guess.
No, you ruled. I think. I mean, and Your Honor,
I think that was kind of a ruling.
If I may add, first of all, happy birthday to your daughter tomorrow, and second, you do rule, Judge.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I dropped that 20 on your bench there, sir.
This is like the end of what is it?
I feel like
Untouchables.
Sam. I feel like Sam is going to be so disappointed.
No, I think we've already entertained him plenty. So let me. Okay, so let's change gears. We're done with our courtroom drama. Jason,
yes.
Jason couldn't handle the truth. It's fine.
I couldn't.
Kevin Bacon has arrested him for ordering the code red on Malibu Express.
Yes, I ordered the code red, and I do it again.
Come down here in your faggoty white uniform and ask for the transcripts nicely. You want the truth. You want the truth.
Yes, I want the truth.
All right, sorry. Okay,
that's what he says, right? I threw.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Close. That's pretty damn close. Every now and then I watch that scene because that is a movie I would like for us to cover someday because there's
a few good men in that movie.
Yeah, pretty much, and a good lady in that movie.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's a few good ladies in this movie that you're about to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Boy. So I decided to come at the stats from 4 different angles. Because Cody likes to cover all the angles, as he says to his cop friend.
He does.
So there are 4 categories that I looked at. 1, male ass. How many male asses were in this movie? Because I want to cover everything for the whole spectrum.
Yeah, let's be equitable here.
Exactly. It's all about equity. Number 2, how many bras do I think were honestly worn in scenes by characters? Now, okay. I will say there is an asterisk to this later as I give that number because it's a guess.
I know what that asterisk is, I bet, but go ahead.
Well, we'll see. Number 3, rather, the number of girls who showed boobs.
Number of girls who showed boobs. Okay.
Yes. And then the actual number of boobs seen. Now, this could be the same girl multiple times. And it could be, if I only saw one, I only counted one.
So are you talking by shot or by?
Yes. So if the same girl was in 3 different scenes and she showed her boobs in 3 different scenes,
that
we'd
could
have a
be
count
up
of
to
6.
Could be up to 6. It could be 4. It could be 5. It's very likely.
Wait a minute.
Sometimes you only see one boob.
That's right. And I only counted one.
But if she is the same girl in the same scene and she shows her boobs. No, it's only 2.
Now, I considered having that 5th category of how many times it cuts away and then comes back to boobs. But I did not do that because that's fucking impossible.
Okay.
So the shower girls each showed their boobs twice. Maybe more, but that would be a total of 8.
All right.
Well, and then at the end of the movie, when they're doing the recap of the movie, they do show some of those things again. So I'm like, hey, I'm counting those because it's coming back to it.
Give us those counts. I'm interested.
All right, so let's start with male ass. We're going to start with a little something for the ladies. There were 2 male asses.
Damn it! I was going to see if we could guess.
Not just the ladies, Jeff. Not just the ladies.
Well,
sure. Cross-dresser dude probably would have liked the asses.
Oh, sure. I mean, like, yes, for our gay and pan and all of our friends out there, all across the spectrum, if you like male ass, there were 2 of them.
Can we guess the next ones?
So the next one, how many bras do you think? Now, there is an asterisk, and I'll explain that later. How many bras do you think were worn in this movie?
I'm going to say 0.
I'm going to say 1, and it's the asterisk.
Okay. I counted as best as I could assume 11.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Now,
All
the
right.
reason why is, and here's the asterisk. Lady Lillian Chamberlain, she ain't going braless. That old lady is like, I sincerely doubt she's not wearing a bra.
Okay.
Okay,
My
so she
asterisk
was
that
in like 5 or 6 scenes. So that's like
So
half.
you're
of it.
talking about like looking at a woman in her wardrobe and determining yes or no bra.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
But I will say the vast majority I'm going to say no. So I did not count them.
Okay.
Yeah, my asterisk, just so I can say it, because I thought it was kind of a funny scene, is when Cody is with Sybil Danning. I can't remember her character name. She's wearing a dress without a bra, but when they go to have sex, she's wearing a nightie.
Yeah.
Like she went home and changed into
right. Well, see,
a
that's the
bra.
other thing, because like there were times in which like the cop lady friend is wearing a slip under her outfit, right? Well, that's not a bra, right?
No.
Maid Marian, who, boy, do I have lots to say about Maid Marian. She looks like
my
a crazy
gosh.
person.
Yeah.
She's wearing a corset with a bustier.
Corset,
I did not count that.
Okay.
In fact, at one point I thought she was wearing a bra. I realized, oh no, that's a corset with a bustier. I'm taking that one back.
No, she was wearing a wig, though.
Oh
my God.
I don't know.
You don't know?
That was definitely a wig.
I doubt that, man. The 80s
Absolutely was that a wig. Are you serious?
We'll talk about Maid Marian here in a
Maid Marian was an insane character, and that was most certainly a wig.
All right. Well, Geoff says we'll talk about it later.
We'll talk about that here in a moment.
We have a new judge in town.
Yeah, we do. Because I'm taking the bench now, bitches, and this is
episode
the first movie.
This episode is absolutely insane, by the way.
It is.
Well,
the movie's insane.
Yeah.
See, look, the judge and I have been on the same page. We're old golfing buddies.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I was quiet for like the first 20 minutes of this episode, and then
I made the mistake of waking
I started
your ass
talking.
up.
I know what you were. Yeah, and then it absolutely went insane. Yep. I'm to blame.
Yes. Yes. So how many girls do you think showed their boobs in this movie?
8.
I'm gonna say 11.
Chuck is exactly right. 11.
Whoa, 11. Nice.
Yes. Okay, here's the big one. How many?
Like, I got my prize.
How many boobs were seen during the course of this movie?
22.
Jace, 41.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
This was difficult because
How do you calculate that?
He counted them.
I saw a nipple. I counted it.
But is this by cut?
No, by scene. By scene.
But there were 11 ladies.
Yeah.
Right, and
So
some of them showed their boobs like 4 or 5 times.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
57 tits.
Jesus.
Wow.
When's the last time you saw that many boobs that wasn't a porno?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen pornos that had that many.
I don't think I have either.
That's true.
What pornos are like? What, 6 scenes long? So at best,
Stephanie, I do not watch pornos. All right, go continue.
it's about 6
That's
scenes
true,
long.
though. That's a lot. That's a lot of boobs.
That is a ton
You
of
said
boobs.
57? What did you
57. 57 nipples I saw.
Damn.
And that was I mean, like, if there was a side boob and one visible, but I can't see the nipple on the other one, it only counted as one.
Yeah, because you can get under and over cleavage.
You were conservative.
You need a nipple.
You need a nipple
see the
because otherwise it would be shown on TV if it's just side boob. And holy shit, let's talk about Sybil Danning real quick.
All right. Who didn't show her boobs? Did she?
No, she did. She did.
Once?
One scene.
Maybe twice. Yeah.
One scene. Only one
But
scene.
go ahead. Let's talk about Sybil Danning.
So she, it's almost vulgar when she's actually wearing clothing. Like, there were times in the movie where it's like, oh my God, like that bikini or whatever she was wearing. It's like, and then she, like earlier when she took off her clothes, it's like, oh, okay. It's like, it's almost like the normal thing would have been to seeing her naked.
Do you know another actress, an actress who I think Sybil Danning is similar to in that way? And I don't know that I've seen this woman naked at all, is Grace Jones.
Yes.
Grace Jones looks like she'd be naturally naked all the time.
You know what I think it is both Grace Jones and Sybil Danning have a sheen to their skin.
Yeah.
That almost, like with Sybil Danning, you notice because she has implants, right? Like you get that.
Right.
You get a very cut figure, and God, this is getting a little gross here, guys.
Yeah, you're grossing me out, man.
But there is a certain sheen, like, you know, Sybil Danning is probably constantly wearing, like, I don't know, like suntan lotion, because a lot of the times a lot of her skin is showing, and she often makes movies in warm locations. Grace Jones is a bodybuilder in her form, right? You know, so but yeah, no, I agree with you. There are times where you think it would seem more likely that Grace Jones is nude than not.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Jason, we were talking about Sybil Danning. Do you have any thoughts on that?
She's got great tits.
What we didn't bring up is her 7-minute, because we didn't do an episode on this. We live tweeted the Halloween Howling series, and she has that really weird outro.
Well, here's the story behind that.
Yeah, give it to me.
So there is a scene in The Howling 2 where she rips her bodice off and her glorious breasts are sprung forth. And
sir, Your Honor, I would like to say that you just said that I was grossing you out. Now that
I'm trying to make it as
lurid as possible.
As
Judge has no comment here.
Her glorious breasts were sprung forth. It feels a little chancerous.
Whatever word you're saying, give up on it.
Yeah, I'm going to stop. That part where Geoff said I'm drunk, yeah, I am. So basically what happened at the end of Howling 2 was that the director was like, oh, let's do like a thing on the outro on the credits where we keep showing the same scene of Sybil Danning bursting her chest forward with like ripping the clothes off, and they thought it was hilarious. They were like, oh yeah, let's time it to the music, right, to the score. So every time like it hits a beat, Sybil Danning is pulling her clothes off and exposing her breasts. They just thought it was the funniest thing ever, and turns out that was probably a little bit exploitative. She was not happy about it, but
just a little. It was like 7 minutes.
I know they exposed it like 30 times or something like that.
Oh my god! Okay, so is that a different scene? Because that would beat this movie.
No. It's definitely like a thing that became an issue. Like she was not happy.
I was making a joke, but yeah.
But maybe I know. Sorry, but yeah, Sybil Danning. They kind of exploited her persona, if you will. But this movie, honestly, I think kind of cemented her as the breast queen in a lot of ways. Because I believe this movie came after Howling 2, and
well, but she is one of the 11 women, but she only has one topless scene.
Well, but like you said, like she does a lot in a dress.
Yes.
Holy smokes! Like you see, I mean, even when Cody comes to the house, it's like, did I just see her whole tit? Like, no, like it's covered up barely, but holy fuck, like how do you even do that? Like as a wardrobe department and as a person, how are you able to like hide your nipple so deftly? Because it feels like in every scene she's in where she's not deliberately showing her nipple, she's deliberately hiding it. Yes. It's amazing.
And it seems almost like it's a lot more work and a lot more exploitative than
it's like just show it. You know,
it's wild. We've seen everything else.
I have a question for you guys that I need to set up briefly. Shane, the chauffeur, I guess he's called the chauffeur in this movie.
The driver or whatever.
Yeah. He has a scene where he gets killed, right?
Yes.
unimportant, I guess, as to the point of this question. But he gets killed, and then he gets shot. And my question is this. What the hell is Shane doing with the television?
That's a good question, and I just found that funny. It's just like, okay, well, he's leaving with the TV.
I thought that he was going to try to kill the person who shot him
Maybe
with the television. Like he was like, I'm going to kill you with this thing.
Hey, I can't.
And they were already out.
I can't explain exactly where my client was in every moment during the time. But,
Okay.
So at that point, yes, there is question.
But when I'm watching that scene, Chuck, I'm thinking, oh, he's going to try to kill that person with the television.
Okay.
And then it just falls apart. Yeah.
That actually is a better excuse than I had, which was I just laughed at it.
That's what I did, but then I was quizzical.
He just wanted to take the show with Regis and Joy Philbin on the road with him to the hospital.
Right. Which Can we talk about that for a second?
They got credited.
I know they're credited in this movie. Were they
were
meant
friends
to be
with the Sidarises, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so
let's real quick. Let's talk about Andy and his wife who co-produced all of or did a lot of co-production with his.
After that, I have a rhetorical question for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Andy, he got started in sports. Actually, he covered Olympics. He covered Wide World of Sports. He won an Emmy for Wide World of Sports.
Was he producer or director?
Director. He directed
Makes
some
sense.
100 basketball and football games. In fact, I think he was part of the original crew of Monday Night Football. But he pioneered what is called the honey shot, which is when you find a cute girl in the crowd and you zoom in on her, or you just hang out with the cheerleaders.
Which was perfected during the national championship game when A.J. McCarron's girlfriend was on the screen.
I was going to say, that's pretty much the end of that when Brent Musburger, was it Brent Musburger?
Yes, it was Musburger.
When he got really, really creepy about it.
He got horn doggy, dude.
It was so bad.
And he's now calling Raiders games.
Oh man,
yeah. But he
Jesus.
So he and his wife Arlene basically just started making movies. Really, he basically used this clout to be able to get what budgets he could, and they just made the movies that they like to see. And she was often asked about the exploitation of having, in this 57 breasts exposed in this movie.
Yeah.
And her response is actually that, so what? It's like she was a feminist and she's like, so what? People like looking at naked people. And basically it's like, I would be, her words were something to the effect of, I would be a pretty bad feminist if I didn't want people to still compliment me, was the comment.
I thought the people that drove the Winnebago were like a representation of Andy and his wife.
That was them.
Oh, that was actually them?
That was them, yeah.
Holy shit. So I was right.
Yep,
Thank
you go,
Chuck, for picking up on that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Andy, at least certainly Andy was the driver of the Winnebago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and here's the thing. It's like, you can say what you want. If you don't like these types of movies, that's fine. Nobody says you have to watch these types of movies. There are a lot of people who like these types of movies. I am one of them. Yeah, because they are kind of stupid. And not kind of. They are super stupid. And
don't sell it short, please.
No, I'm not going to sell it short. They're super stupid. But here's the thing. It's like every time that Cody walked into a scene and somebody just ripped their fucking top off and he's like, oh gosh, here we go again. I was laughing my nuts off. Like seriously, I got into such a giggling fit that it wasn't because necessarily of the of the look, they're boobies. No, it wasn't that. It's the ridiculous male fantasy of it all.
What's a subversion for sure?
But
Yeah,
at least.
I definitely concede to that. But there are also like the writing of some of the scenes where like Cody's saying, "God, I love this," or "God, I love that," and it's always like, "God, I love Cindy," and "God, I love Cindy's tits," and "God, I love this." It's just it's extremely juvenile too.
Well, it's
So yes, where I understand like an enjoyment of this kind of aesthetic, it's also a little bit just kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of gets a little
So here
it's a little stale. Like
I agree with that, but here's my thought on that.
like halfway in, you're just like, all right, I've heard two double entendres. I've heard like this really bad writing about Cody loving this about Cindy.
I think
It just gets a little dull.
I think this movie was played without the overdubbing, or whatever you call that.
God,
Right,
so much ADR. So much ADR.
Okay, so here's what I think. They played this movie without the ADR. That was the original film, and it probably came off too serious, and the comedy did not work at all.
Probably.
So they had to put in that bullshit ADR, which I didn't really like, but it was definitely 1,000% for comedic effect.
There's tons of it. Yep.
Here's the thing. So let me get to my note about why I started again, kind of getting into this giggling fit over the voiceover. Do you guys remember? This was Saturday Night Live, probably late '80s. Joe Montana hosted an episode of Saturday Night Live, and there was a skit in which he was kind of like the friend of a neighbor or something like that, and he's being set up on a blind date, I think is what it was, and you can hear what he's thinking, and what he's thinking is very, very simplistic stuff. Yeah, but then whatever he's thinking is exactly what he says. And it just makes him come off as like an idiot. Yeah. And that is exactly the same thing that I saw with the voiceover in this movie. What's
funny about that, though, is that, all right, I'll give you that. That's funny, but none of it is intentional. Like
maybe not.
Like none of it. Like Andy Sidaris,
you're making assumptions there.
I maybe am making assumptions, but Andy Sidaris is not a good writer. He's just not.
But that's not that. But that is also. I would argue, his point is not writing a perfect script. This is not fucking Fellini, Jason.
No, I know that. But his point is to appeal to baser instincts.
Sure. And what's wrong with that?
And there's nothing wrong with that. But
you're saying he's bad at
it just gets a little stale. Like
I agree. I mean, I said this before the episode that breasts are great, but after you said there's 57 in this movie. Yeah. After 15, I'd be pretty satiated.
Yeah, it's like,
and I don't mean that in a bad way.
But write a better movie that carries that stuff. Like that actually is entertaining.
Well, there were no bras to carry that stuff, according
to there were no bras to carry. Yeah,
there were as many bras as there were women who got naked.
It is legitimately a movie written by a 12-year-old. I mean, it is, and that's fine for a certain amount of time. But it just kind of like. It gets boring. Like
well,
I get bored. I get bored with the ineptitude.
I wish that the murder mystery was better to carry that aspect of the film. But go ahead, Geoff.
No, that's fair. And okay, so let me kind of give you a little bit of a tease to the opening of my Hard Ticket to Hawaii article. As I said, this is kind of the first of the quote unquote loose. Well, at this point, it's still a loose series in the first 3 or 4 of these Sidaris movies. But this is the first of the 12 movies that essentially make up the Triple B series, as they call it. And it's. This is it's successful because of its basic, the basic. Oh, well, if you really want to watch boobs, you just watch this movie and you're going to get a lot of boobs, for the price of a rental at the video store or the price of Cinemax for that month or whatever. Right. But I also see that the 12 movies that Andy made was, and yeah, I'm going to call him Andy because I feel like he's a friend. Because I've seen all 12 movies, but it's, I did that in 1 week and I did not come out the same person afterwards.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone would.
But in a lot of ways, this was it's inspired by a lot of things that he probably liked himself. He certainly probably liked Nudie Cuties, which are dumb adolescent movies to begin with. Number two, I think he liked the Bond series. And if you look at the first few of his movies compared to the first few Bond movies, what you see is you have a tone setter, which in this case I'm comparing Malibu Express to Dr. No. It's a tone setter. You get to understand what it is that this person is going to be bringing to the movies. The second movie, From Russia with Love or Hard Ticket to Hawaii, is the beginning of tweaking that to make it a little bit more perfect to whatever the vision or the scope or the expectation is. The third movie is really where he kind of sets okay, everything that we did, we've perfected is now a formula. And yes, so this movie, I don't necessarily think it belongs in the same series necessarily, even though it starts the very same series as I don't think it technically belongs to. But in a way, it sets a tone that he perfects later. And then by the time you get to his fifth, his sixth, his seventh, all the way to the 12th, they're the exact same movie. They're just female leads instead of a male lead. It's all, wrapped up in this kind of government organization that you kind of get a hint of at the end of this movie that Sybil Danning works for.
I'm not going to discount, discredit, or denigrate any of what you just said. I'm just going to allow you to live with all of that and own it for all of eternity.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Yeah, I mean, I've seen both of these series, so it's like I am going to compare those. So
look, I'd kind of like to see Picasso Trigger. That looks fun. I've never seen that one.
But
that's a Sidaris film, right? Yeah, looks fun.
Absolutely. It's the third one, I think.
Yeah, that's what it looks like here.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's it's setting a tone, and he's kind of showing what he's going to do, and either you like it or you don't. But the thing is that enough people liked it that he made 11 more. But he does. I do think, Jason, you would like a lot of the later ones, especially starting with Hard Ticket to Hawaii, Picasso Trigger, Savage Beach. I think you'd like those because the real heroes of the movie are competent enough women who also show their boobs. But that's the thing, right? It's like you're not having to deal with the adolescent boyishness of Cody Abilene.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe someday we do decide to do Hard Ticket to Hawaii, although everybody on the fucking planet has done Hard Ticket to Hawaii. But it's a consideration.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
so real quick, there are still a couple of things I do want to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk about Maid Marian. They set her up, actually. They, at one point, so Cody goes over to see Lady, whatever her face is. What is her name? Lady...
Liza? Oh, no, Liza was the girl.
Lady Lillian. Lady Lillian. Yeah. So he goes over to see her, and she's like, okay, well, here's who lives here. So-and-so who's cheating on her nephew with Shane, the guy who's the driver. And here's the other daughter or niece or whatever. And here is our maid Maid Marian, and she is wild. And then we see her later, and holy crap, the boobs and the hair.
She looks wild, for sure.
She looks like a crazy person. Like, if you saw her in any scenario, would you be concerned that either A, she is going to try to sell you the good news of the holy book, or she is just batshit insane? Like, she has stupid long hair. Like, it's longer than her neck to her butt.
It's a wig, but go ahead.
Man, I don't know, man.
You might be right. You might be right.
I don't know, but like, she is, and she's always sneaking around because she's kind of an inside person that is kind of working for the main bad guy who's selling the stuff to Russia. So she's always kind of sneaking around, and every time she's sneaking around, it's like, I'm very concerned for other people in the scene because I do not know what this crazy person is capable of. Let's talk about also June Knockers. Chuck?
With an H.
With an H.
Yeah, June Knockers was... she's a race car driver, but she's also crazier than Maid Marian was in this movie, apparently.
Oh, totally crazier. She's the craziest lady in the whole damn movie, in my opinion.
So she's a race car driver. I would like
an explanation of that.
Okay, well, this is real easy.
It's real easy.
Aside from the point she shows her boobs to everybody,
yes.
When they are being chased by a helicopter with goons with guns, she's trying to have sex with Cody.
Yes.
Okay,
and then
fair
she
enough.
pretends like she didn't realize that what was going on.
Right.
I think there's a lot to unpack.
Made the case. The judge made the case.
No, and I agree with that. Because I will admit I was a little confused there, because it's like, didn't you know why he's saying get in the car? We got to leave. Anyway, I think there's a lot.
It's played for laughs. It's played for laughs because he makes a lot of comments like, "That's what I was saying. They have guns." Blah 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 blah. But it's kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But she is definitely the craziest lady in the movie, though.
Well, let's unpack that whole sequence real quick, because it also leads to what I wrote in my notes: the anatomy of the perfect scene.
Holy shit.
Yeah, well, you'll know what I'm talking about when we get there. So he realized he's got this roll of film that's got what he suspects is the person who killed Shane, which is the current mystery that he's trying to solve, aside from the national security mystery, right? So he's going to go, and June Knockers has a friend that apparently has a dark room at the racetrack.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, she's in the race tower with a dark room. Like, fucking whatever. Sorry, I'm mad now.
No, it's fine. Whatever, right? It's one of those things where it's like they have one of those and you're like, who cares? She doesn't wear a bra. She is absolutely not wearing a bra. She definitely did not get a mark on the bra's tally. She doesn't show her boobs, but she's not wearing a bra, and you can practically imagine what everything is there. So he and cop friend, cop side piece, go to get this film developed. As they are leaving, Muscleman and Crazy Guy are there to intercept, essentially. A gunfight breaks out in which cop friend gets shot, and she says, here, take the purse and take the picture that you need to solve the case and get out of here. Of course, Cody can't shoot anybody for shit. But when June Knockers drives her practice lap.
Knockers.
Yeah, exactly. Drives her practice lap or whatever. She stops. She goes and gets changed like immediately. But it's to be expected, because we saw earlier that she doesn't wear any clothing under her fire suit. I don't think any other race car driver does that, but I could be wrong. Andy Sidaris certainly did Wild World of Sports, so he's been around racing. Anyway, they get in her race car and take off. Now, at the same time, there's a gunfight, but there are also pit crew guys who are they're just doing their job. They didn't really notice any gunfire or any.
Yeah, and a kid on a fucking little bike.
Yeah, but crazy guy with the gun runs up to them and goes, ah!
Who got his ear shot off earlier?
Yes, he did. He did get his ear shot off earlier. That's not the worst thing that's going to happen to him. So they get into. They decide it's like, well, we got to chase the race car, but we're not going to be fast enough with our regular car. We need to get into a helicopter. They hijack a helicopter with the little old man, and they fly. And of course, June's trying to have sex with Cody, but Cody's like, June, I'm telling you, I'm really into this, but not right now. They decide they're going to go head him off at the pass. Here is the anatomy of the perfect scene. They land the helicopter. They get out onto the road. We got crazy man with all the guns and the grenades and stuff. And he wanted to use grenades earlier at the race car track. The muscle men are like, no, you're crazy. Don't do that. And you have the two muscle men. Yeah. June and Cody are headed down the street in the race car. They hit crazy man, who then goes flying into the air. He lands off to the side of the road and then explodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy man dies.
Yeah.
By explosion.
And the other guy's like, I told you not to bring those grenades with you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only explosion in the movie, I think.
Force movie. Done.
That makes it a Force movie. So
a guy fucking exploded. I don't know about you, but a guy exploded. I have a low bar.
I mean, that was a good scene. I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the payoff. And this is where I give Andy Sidaris a little credit for his writing. Jason, don't blow me up for this.
It's all good.
But Cody says I can't hit a moving target,
and he has one bullet with two targets.
Yes, and Knockers shows her boobs to stop the target, which is kind of clever.
Right.
And then he hits him. And then he takes the other gun.
But it's dumb too, because he's
totally dumb. But it's
so dumb
setup.
Yeah.
I can appreciate a setup.
It was set up in the helicopter over the car. It's like,
I'm not gonna give anyone credit for that. I mean, it's like lining up fucking bowling pins. I mean,
look, Jason, in a world where there are plenty of movies where nobody even bothers to lay groundwork for future shit, a little credit needs to
I will give you the fact that the whole Cody Abilene, I can't shoot shit, I can't hit a moving target was
that's not what I'm saying. That's not exactly.
But it is like that's where it pays off, though. That it pays off.
Not exactly. Not exactly. The reason why it pays off is because earlier in the chase, the guy says, "What are you doing? Shoot them!" And the big white dumb guy says, "I can't. All I can see are tits."
That doesn't. No.
That too. They're both part of the same coin.
He doesn't shoot because he's staring at the boobs. When they land and they run off.
Well, that's a different side.
There's a double setup here. There's a double setup here. What I was saying was Cody had said, "I can't hit a moving target."
I mean, that's clearly
evidence of that.
That's clearly comedy when he says that. When all I can see is the tits. It's clear comedy. I mean, at that point
but it also stopped him from shooting him. Yeah, but then they were able to use the exact same thing to stop him from shooting.
Yeah, it's a double setup. It's actually great because when she shows the boobs, the guy's like, "Oh."
Right.
Yeah, and then he shoots him, which now because he's not moving anymore. Which is funny because he couldn't shoot the guy earlier in the shower because, twice he tries to be Dirty Harry.
Oh, yeah, I wrote that line down. It's so stupid. So go ahead. Go for it. Make my day.
And then he misses, and then it takes the cop lady to shoot the guy. And then she it's like, are you serious?
Go for it?
I like that scene a lot. I like when she kind of was like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah. We haven't talked about it, motherfuckers. We haven't talked about the thing I actually like in this movie.
No, I know. We're getting there. It's
we're getting there?
Yeah, this is it.
Is it next on your list?
We're there. This is it. Because I talked about my favorite thing, which is the anatomy of the perfect scene in which a guy blows up due to a series of crazy ass shit that happens. But this is actually really good, and it leads to a larger point. Go for it, Jason. Do it.
Well, I really like Stewart. We've done a really bad job of talking about the
Let's
movie.
set it all up. Well, let's.
But Stewart is the son of Lady Chamberlain.
Nephew.
No, I thought nephew. Okay, nephew of Lady Chamberlain. His wife is sleeping with Shane.
Yes. And she will sleep with Cody too if she got the chance.
Yes, and Shane is also the chauffeur of the family,
and the guy who's basically trying to bilk them for.
Right. Yeah. So Shane is taking Stewart to the club, and the club that he's taking Stewart to is a drag club.
Yep.
And Stewart is a drag queen.
Yep.
And
a pretty good one.
and an exceptional one actually. And
really good one.
Yeah, and Shane thinks that he can use this information against Stewart. And the fact that he has slept with Stewart's wife and has
also
taken pictures of her.
Well, there's a lot. Okay, so Stewart owes $30,000 in gambling debt.
Stewart doesn't owe shit.
Shane owes $30,000 in gambling debt, and he is an ex-con, and he wants to basically set himself up to where at any point in time he can use pictures of him screwing Stewart's wife. He can use pictures of screwing the other girl, Eliza, I think is her name. And then, and I think it's even implied that there's pictures of Shane and Stewart together too.
Yeah. So Stewart is like, all right, Shane is like, well, I've got pictures of your wife and me having sex. And Stewart's like, I don't really care. And he's like, well, I'm gonna sell them. I'm gonna like expose your family for scandal. And he's like, well, I don't really care. He's like, I'm getting dressed as a woman right now in this limousine, and I'm gonna go walk.
And I'm not gonna negotiate with assholes.
Right. And I'm gonna go in, and I'm gonna like go to this club that you just dropped me off in, and I don't really give a shit. You know that what evidence you have of anything. Fuck you, I'm not spending $30,000, and I love it. And he like gets out of the limo. He's like fierce as fuck as a woman. And then Cody Abilene.
This is the best line in the movie. I thought
it's so great, man. I can't remember the exact line what he says.
Well, he says into his recorder something to the effect of. Stewart has just changed into the most beautiful of women.
The most beautiful woman, yes, the most gorgeous woman. I think is what he said.
And then it cuts back to him after Stewart goes into and he's like, "Wow!"
And he says, "Wow!" And it's so genuine.
Like, yeah.
That's what I mean. This movie did drop, some terms we don't really use anymore.
Uh-huh.
But the genuineness. Well, I had to repeat it. I was repeating it.
Yeah.
I was repeating that quote.
You're actually bringing up a point that I was going to get to, but go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead and set it up.
But Cody is a decent dude.
Yeah.
He is actually.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any. Well, I would.
He does call Stewart light in his loafers.
Yes, which is also a decent way, I think, to say what he was saying.
A lot more decent than what Shane was saying.
Yeah.
Especially in the 80s. I don't know if we'd say light in the loafers these days and get away with it, but for an 80s film, he didn't say that F and F is dressed as a woman.
Right.
He was
what I liked about it is he said it, and he said it in a way that he's like, well, I don't approve. But then later, when he saw Stewart as a woman, he was like, legitimately impressed.
Yeah.
And I really liked that.
Right.
I really
and it's really important also to point out that yes, Chuck is exactly right. But Cody never says a disparaging word about anybody's lifestyle. However, all the bad guys do say something disparaging about people.
100%.
There's one guy, Shane. It mostly comes from Shane. Shane calls Stewart all sorts of words. He calls Shane's wife a whore. So but that is not Cody's play. Like Cody, when he finds out that Shane had pictures of him sleeping with with the Chamberlain, with Stuart's wife, which is either Liza or Anita.
Liza's the one who's blamed for the killing. She's not
Anita
the wife.
is
The other one is.
the Anita is the wife. Okay, so Anita, he doesn't say anything to her about it. Like he doesn't. All he said, he actually compliments her. He said, "Oh, nice composition," which is I know, Jason. It's a clumsy, juvenile thing to say, but at the same time, it still leads to the point that he doesn't say anything disparaging about her.
Right. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, Cody is just loving life. It's like he doesn't have anything. He doesn't even say anything negative about the fucking dudes he shoots in the movie.
No, he's just like, I winged him.
Yeah.
You guys, we're going to leave you here. You don't need these guns.
Well,
he didn't even kill him.
He doesn't kill him. And he takes out the bullets, but he doesn't even take the bullets with him. He's just like, they don't need these things anymore, and just separates them.
Yeah.
And so, it's like he has nothing disparaging. Even when he goes in to make the big bust, he doesn't even say anything disparaging. He just says, I've got the proof.
Yeah.
And he does, and when he realizes that he doesn't have the proof, he makes it right.
Oh, so this is the extra ending.
Yeah, I think we're there now.
Yeah.
We can get there.
I do want to ask you guys one rhetorical question before we talk about the extra ending.
Yes, indeed, I do love this movie. What's the point? What are you getting at?
We control the catering service, remember? That's my rhetorical question.
It is true.
Because that is the dumbest thing in this movie, in my opinion, is when the guy who wants his money is the head that fucking, what's his nuts, owes $30,000 to, is the head of a fucking catering service.
Honestly, the entire subplot of the guy wanting his $30,000 in this movie is just terrible.
No, it's pulled off way better and Better Off Dead.
Yes. Yeah. Give me my $2.
Now, the whole reason for that existing in this movie is for him to get a massage from a topless woman.
Yeah.
I guess.
Don't you guys understand the Sidaris formula?
No, I mean, for real, it's a ruse, right? It's supposed to take you away from what the actual crime is. But the movie is so bad at telling that part of the story.
Yes.
No disrespect.
No, it's fine.
Well, I guess there's a little mint. Like, you didn't give us a good murder mystery. You didn't need to throw red herrings out there because we didn't know what the fuck was going on anyway.
Right.
And that part, I wish if this had a good central mystery to it, I think it would be a great movie. Or up there, like a good movie.
Yeah,
I'll say good, maybe not great.
I think those are things that get tweaked a little bit better later on in the next.
I'm interested in checking out some of the later ones. I enjoyed this well enough for sure.
They
do
begin to degrade over time because then it becomes a sense of these are video store type
retreads.
To more like Skinamax type of stuff.
But some of them get a little more action-y, which I appreciate.
Some of them do. I mean, certainly
you should have said forceful. Come on, Jason.
Yeah.
The next 2 or 3 definitely get a lot more action-y, and there are action elements to all of them later on, some more than others, but a lot of them kind of lean more into the softcore side of things.
Well, I've probably seen those back in the day.
Maybe
this is the time for it.
Like, I remember that. Yeah.
Well, this would be the time for it. Like, I'm more early 90s, but some of these movies replayed, and this is like 1000% USA Up All Night movie.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
Or the drive-in theater.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that would later, once you get into the 90s, you would see kind of repeated the same type of formula, the same type of concept, the same type of idea that plays out in like the Vice Academy movies.
Yeah,
they're cut from the same cloth, basically. But it's because of this movie that I think a lot of Skinamax movies ended up happening. Particularly between this and Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
So now we're at the end, right? We had Cody identifying Liza as the killer in the previous scene.
And she is also connected to the guy who is selling the stuff.
She's been giving money to the guy who's so she's identified, she's arrested. Movie should be over, right?
Yes.
That's the consensus, I think, for Jason. This movie should be over here. Instead, we have an extra scene where Cody is driving his father's souped-up car.
His Oldsmobile Forenza.
Yeah, he's like, I called in fucking his service. Like how, maybe this is genius, maybe it's stupid. The service that takes messages for him. Oh my
God, we haven't even talked about that.
The services that takes messages for him is a sex service.
It's so out of control.
And you know what I love about that? And this is something that I actually thought for, most of my life, is that the people who answer the phone at the sex line are dressed in sexy clothing. It's hilarious because
So you think they are? Because I assume that they're all in like suits and like business casual.
No,
wearing.
No, they're probably all wearing like sweatpants and shit. That's
what I mean. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're not wearing sexy clothes.
Right. No, but for most of my life, I thought they were. I thought you call somebody up and they're sitting there in their fucking, lingerie and shit.
And there's a clever thing about his service.
There's also a leather guy there too, which is hilarious. That's always
funny. Two of them. There were two of them next to each other. Yes. But the girl that he talks to, I can't remember her name. Lisa, maybe. I think she's the owner of the place.
Oh,
whatever she's talking to him about when they're making double entendres about him having a ship or a boat. She's wearing a captain's hat. Yes. Whenever she's talking about his rocket, she's wearing a NASA hat.
She produces.
Did you guys notice that?
Yes, she produces.
Did you notice that her hats were like, yeah,
it's like
I thought that was pretty clever and fun.
Yeah, because it will cut to him saying whatever he's saying, and then it cuts back to her, and then she just produces the hat.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, your rocket." Puts on NASA hat. It's hilarious. That's a funny joke.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Jason's like, no.
No, I hate this. I hate this so much.
Fellini me now. Show me a man singing opera to a chicken.
I don't have any hate. I'm
just joking. I'm just joking.
Well,
sure. So, see, I remember a time, Jason, while Jeff's looking up whatever he's looking at, where we could sit down and watch one of these movies and we just laugh and laugh and laugh and not care.
I've watched this movie twice in like 3 weeks because I did put this movie on with the intention of just laughing and laughing and laughing, and it was just okay. It was just all right. It just didn't hit with me.
It's not
Sam ruined your life.
I watched Revenge of the Ninja last Saturday, and I fucking loved the fucking shit out of that. So it just didn't hit, man. It's not about the quality. It's not about the intent. It's not about like the artistic value. It just didn't work for me.
Well, let's say you're right, and you're being honest right now.
I am. I'm totally being honest.
But listen, your attacks on this movie were about the artistic quality.
No, they weren't. They weren't. They were just mostly about the shit that I thought sucked about it that I didn't get into.
That's fair. I mean, I don't expect you to like this. I don't expect you to laugh.
I'm not going to defend why I don't like.
No, absolutely.
Malibu Express. I'm just not going to.
That wasn't my point with asking.
Yeah. But it just doesn't work as a movie that is stupid and fun for me.
Yeah, there's movies I hate that you probably love. I would never. I think that's the whole idea of film seizure. At least part of it is not to pressure. It's not pressure. We're not trying to force our likes.
Right.
Anybody.
Right.
We're just trying to give our honest opinion about stuff.
It just doesn't work for me. It's not a forced film for me.
But
it is a lot of titties, and that's great. But it's like double entendre after double entendre, and some of that is fun to a point. But it's just, I don't know, man. It just as a whole, it's just not a movie that I enjoy, even ironically or stupidly. I just don't dig on it.
Now I will say.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I will say that you did mention that you've been watching a lot of British horror and a lot of Fellini and that you weren't cut out for these movies that we.
I'm not conditioned for this.
Yeah, exactly, and the thing is that I admit I absolutely am. This is what I do. I mean, like many times a week, as I am working to get out ahead of myself on B Movie Enema. So I understand that. But as I said, you got to keep the shit flowing through the veins because otherwise it's not going to be very fun when we do come across these.
But that's the thing, though. Like, to that end, though, I agree that I'm not conditioned to these things. So I am going to have a higher standard for shit. And I watched Revenge of the Ninja last Saturday, Canon film. And it blew my goddamn mind. Like that is a force film. Like that is everything that we should have been watching this week. That movie is fucking amazingly terrible and amazing awesome.
Can I ask you?
It is like ninja kicks in the fucking face. Like it is a nonstop onslaught of just kick assery. And that's what I wanted from Malibu Express, and I didn't get it.
Let me ask you a question, and this is. I think Force February suffered this year from one specific thing. And it's not about the movies. It's about the company.
Yeah.
All of these movies, like, in their own way, have stuff that I enjoyed. Every single one of them. But all of these movies would have been way more fun to be with you guys and watch because your reactions, Jason, to a terrible moment would make us laugh, which would make you laugh, which would make the whole experience just better.
True.
And I was curious, and maybe this doesn't matter. I'm just trying to make a point here. Did you watch Malibu Express with Susan, or did you?
I did, and we both hated it.
Okay, that's fair.
But we both loved Revenge of the Ninja at the same time.
That's fair too. I knew you watched that with her, but I knew you watched that with her. I was trying to see if that was a different.
We did. We watched it. But, and it was just like it was not the vibe we wanted.
I cannot wait.
It's fun enough to like make fun of, but again, though, like yes, I totally agree. These movies are elevated in an audience. They're elevated in a community. There's no question there. I can't discount that. But I just this one was just not one for me. Like I just
That's fair. You don't need to go into that.
I'm not gonna like Geoff digs it. You digged elements of it. It's fine. Like it's totally fine. Like I understand why even like the stupidity of this movie is entertaining. It just didn't really work for me.
All I'll say is I just can't fucking wait until we can all get back in wherever we're watching these movies, because these are meant to be watched in a group. And that's why I think Tactical Force was a good choice, because it actually, even without being in a room and laughing at the little shit together and each of us calling out what we saw, that movie gave us enough to talk about in an episode.
Yeah.
This movie did too, but in different ways. And maybe I'm just dragging this on. Jeff, stop me if I am. But I will say I just cannot wait until we can all watch movies again. Fuck you, COVID.
I think that's totally the ticket for sure. Is that, watching these movies as homework is a little bit like shitty, honestly. It's like watching Malibu Express. Like Jeff said, he does this on a weekly basis.
But you do it as homework though. Normally, right?
Yeah, but he does it. He does it as like a job, but that he loves, and as a persona. Watching Malibu Express for me alone in my room and taking notes on it is kind of debilitating.
It's arduous.
Like
it's an arduous task.
It's arduous. Yeah. If I were doing that with you two in the room, if we were watching it together, it would be a totally different experience.
It's 100% is.
Yeah.
Sorry,
totally
Jeff. We talked for a while there.
No, that's all right. I just want to say sorry, Sam.
Sam, I hope we gave our honest opinions on this, Sam.
Well, but at the same time, though, Chuck, I think you and I had a little bit more fun. I think.
Yeah, which is,
I think Jason had fun talking about it with us where he could have fun with it. But I think, Chuck, you and I kind of approached this as me. I think we have three different perspectives here, right? Me, I love this. I love these types of really kind of silly, dumb movies that shouldn't make any sense, shouldn't be enjoyed, but I enjoy them for their audacity to be in existence. You know,
Right.
Jason, you didn't like it so much and felt like what an audacity this movie must have to even exist.
I think less so than that. I think it was not the audacity that I didn't like. It's the fact that the audacity didn't work.
Fair enough.
I like audacity. I love audacity. But the audacity in this movie just became a little bit pedantic to me.
Fair enough. But Chuck, I think you looked at this movie as it is what it is. And some of it works, some of it doesn't. I'm not saying that this is fucking Shakespeare. And I agree that some things don't work as well. But I would say to a certain extent, and I don't necessarily mean this in any way negative, I'm not entirely sure, Jason, that you're going to find what you're looking for in the subsequent movies. You may find more of what you're looking for.
Like Sidaris?
Yes. I don't know. Like, I think I think Hard Ticket to Hawaii is easy for a lot of people to like because it has a snake coming up out of the fucking toilet.
Yeah, I mean, I know I like that one.
Yeah, right. And that audacity kind of works on a different plane, on a different level. Beyond that, while it does grow in action, and Sedaris obviously says, all of these things were enjoyed by people in this movie. I'm just going to turn all of this up to 15.
Right.
And some of that is fun, some of that isn't.
Sometimes it's just kind of like you don't know what you like until you like it. Like not everything hits until it hits. Like we watched, Susan and I watched Enter the Ninja with the most ridiculous ninja you could possibly imagine in Franco Nero, right?
Yeah.
In films, and like that's kind of a snore. Like that movie's that movie's boring. Like, it's just not very good, right? So it was kind of like, all right, well, what do we do? Is Revenge of the Ninja going to be any better? Is it going to be worth our time? And it fucking blew my mind. Like that's a movie I want to show to every person I meet on the side of my house. Like I love that fucking movie, and it's terrible, but god damn it if it's not entertaining. So it's just what hits, right?
Yeah.
And
I don't
this
think
was it for me.
I don't think film Seizure in general would work if all of us always liked everything.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I guess that goes without saying, right?
Right.
But
the fact that we
the traction
don't
is good.
Yeah. The fact that it doesn't is what makes it work.
Right.
That's what I think.
Yeah,
That's
like, you know, it's like there are times where we're going to come together on the exact same perspective, but we may have different things to talk about, right?
Somehow surprisingly, like Bound. Bound is a movie we all approached and like all found different merit.
Yeah.
We all liked that movie, but there was interesting things to talk about because we all didn't see the same thing.
Right. Which in that sort of situation, it may have actually hurt us being all in the same room at the same time.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Sure. Could have.
And, you know, obviously I didn't care much for The Prestige, which I know you guys really like that movie.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? That's fine. Chuck, I know you're not a huge Star Trek fan, but you stuck it out through 5 of those movies, and I actually
enjoyed that trek.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that trek. I didn't like all the movies, but I enjoyed the trek.
Yes.
Well, that's a good segue into next month, because a lot of what we're watching next month, Geoff isn't very initiated on, and there could be
no.
Isn't next week next month Coen Brothers month?
Nope, that's a couple of months.
What? When's Coen Brothers month?
May.
What the hell is next month?
March.
What's March?
No, what is March? What are we doing next, Geoff?
What are we doing next?
So next month I
thought we were doing Coen Brothers
in May.
Damn. Okay.
In March, we just picked 5 movies that we all have accessibility to. It's a little bit different. This is not going to be Malibu Express or Tactical Ford or anything like that. Next week, we kick off a month of just more thoughtful movies, with one exception at the end of the month, just to have some fun with. But we have some more thoughtful movies, and we kick things off with 12 Monkeys next month.
Oh, yes.
Or next week.
Oh, yes.
We're following that up with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Then we're going to the oldest movie we have ever covered on this program, and that is The Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Yes, very cool.
And then I finally get my wish to cover Leaving Las Vegas, which is funny because that comes days before an episode I recorded for Hollow Man saying I have not yet convinced you guys to watch
Leaving Las Vegas.
Remind me to drink myself into a stupor before we talk about
great.
Leaving Las Vegas is so depressing. Oof.
Yeah.
And then we finish things up on a lighter note because of Leaving Las Vegas. We're following up with Point Break.
Oh, yes.
The 2014 version. No, I'm just kidding. The 1991 version.
Yeah, other than the Treasure of the Sierra Madre, I know the other films pretty well.
So this is kind of like our HBO Max grab bag, right?
We got some movies that we can access on HBO Max, and we're gonna watch them. That's our plan, and then we have a guilty pleasure month followed by Coen Brothers. Man, we got some Gillian up in this motherfucker. That's gonna be fun. That is next week. Also, so next Monday, I do a thing called Monster Mondays. By the way, every episode of Film Seizure, every Wednesday morning. Every Monday afternoon, I do Monster Mondays. Next episode is The Beast Must Die, a fun little werewolf movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
And a fun little monster mystery.
That's a good one.
Yeah. In the in-between time, I also do things on my website, bmovieenema.com. This Friday, I am cleansing the palate of the apple with Sheba Baby, starring the indelible Pam Grier.
Yeah.
Pam.
Foxy lady.
Foxy as hell.
And on Saturday, the 9th episode of Film Seizure, the series.
Amazing.
Microwave Massacre.
Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
That's
Tune in for that one. That's
going to be a tune in, and the movie's bonkers, and I play with that a little bit with my segments. I have a little
beautiful. I'm excited for that.
A little bit of a mind fuck at the end of that. So watch out for that. So find our stuff. Go over to Facebook, Twitter. You can follow us there. You can also find our episodes of various places like SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and Audible. We're also on YouTube. You can follow us there as well. So Wednesdays, Mondays, that's the Film Seizure stuff. Fridays, Saturdays, that's the B-Movie Enema stuff. So until next week. Girl. When we get a little bit kooky and a little bit time travel-y, I am Geoff Arbuckle.
I'm Chancerous Chuck.
I'm Cody Abilene, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.
Now, your objection, I don't think he should be able to take the name Cody Abilene.
Sustained.